Ed Husic isn't the only politician in our federal parliament who has one rule for me and another for thee. Green Senator Sarah Hanson-Young was asked today about her colleague's objection to Jacinta Nampijinpa Price making a speech on National Flag Day while draped in the national flag. Now, just to refresh your memory, here's what happened yesterday.
Today is National Flag Day. When one understands the history behind our national flag, when one values its symbolic weight, it's beyond comprehension that the burning of our national flag is not a criminal offence.
I asked for a ruling, please, on whether the senator who's wrapped in the national flag at the moment is contravening the standing order that prevents props. And I do want to make the point that if it's okay for Senator Nampijinpa Price to wrap herself in this flag, I would intend to wrap myself in a Palestinian flag.
Now, here's Senator Hanson-Young when asked today about her views on whether or not all of that was necessary.
The question here is whether the flag itself is a prop. I think you can use items in different ways, and was it being used as a prop? The Senate standing orders are clear about props, but I think there is a question mark over the use of a flag as a prop. That now has been referred to what is called the Procedures Committee, which will discuss the issue and recommend what the standing orders should be. So it's, yes, props are against the standing orders. People use them. The question is the flag being used as a prop?
Is she serious? This is what the Senate has been reduced to. Petty arguments over whether or not the national flag is a prop. Senator Hanson treated it like it was all a big joke.
The President has now referred that to the Procedures Committee. I, for one, Pete, am lucky enough to be on the Procedures Committee. So at some point we'll be discussing that and we'll come back to it.
The problem is, I don't think the rest of us are laughing. This country has serious problems with social cohesion, and the Greens want to play schoolyard games over the use of the flag. The only joke here is the Greens, except we're exhausted from laughing at them. I was interested in this comment, though.
I can absolutely understand that it is our national flag, and whether it's the Australian flag or the use of the Indigenous flag, which also is very important and stands proudly on the floor of our chamber as well. So it's not as if there's no flags in the chamber. There are. It's the use of it.
I liked how Senator Hanson-Young mentions the Indigenous flag. Question: do you think the Greens would have complained that Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price gave a speech on, I don't know, Sorry Day if she was draped in the Indigenous flag? I think you and I both know the answer to that one. But here's the real hypocrisy that I want to get to. Senator Hanson-Young went on with a passionate rant describing her disgust that neo-Nazis had marched under the banner of the Australian flag at the weekend.
What I've felt extremely disturbed about this week in relation to the flag is the use of the flag by self-prescribed neo-Nazis over the weekend. I'm disgusted and appalled and sadly heartbroken by the use of the flag for hate and division.
Now, I agree. But then my colleague Pete Stefanovic asked a very good question.
In that same argument, do you condemn the pro-Palestinian protesters who burn the Australian flag?
Excellent question. And how do you think Senator Hanson-Young, a great proponent of the sanctity of the national flag, responded? Well, she gave a masterclass in political aerobics.
Look, I think the destruction of flags has a long history in political protest. I'm not going to, But
you'd condemn that too, wouldn't you?
There is a freedom of use. My point is what you're associating our national flag with, and I don't believe our national flag should be or needs to be associated with neo-Nazis.
Okay,
I don't, I think that should be condemned.
But a pro-Palestinian march is able to burn it?
Well, I think the use of political expression is something, and the freedom of political expression is something that is dear to democracy.
Are you hearing what I'm hearing? If you hold the national flag while speaking about the importance of the national flag in the Senate chamber, that's a scandal. But if you burn the national flag in the middle of the Melbourne CBD, well, that's a wonderful celebration of our right to stage a political protest. A neo-Nazi who waves the Australian flag is a threat to our democracy. On that point, I agree. But a pro-Palestinian who burns the Australian flag, usually while denouncing Australia as illegitimate and calling for Australia to be abolished, well, apparently that's an exercise in democracy. I should point out Sarah Hanson-Young is considered a moderate within the Greens.